I'm Chef Eric Greenspan of New School American Cheese, and you're listening to Ingredient Insiders.
This is Ingredient Insiders. I'm John Magazzino.
And I'm Andrea Parkins.
On each episode of Ingredient Insiders, we'll be talking with famous chefs and authors about their favorite ingredients.
We then speak to the producer of that ingredient to talk about its history, how it's made, and why chefs love using it in their kitchens.
California. We're back in California, Andrea. Do you believe it?
I love it here.
Me too. Why do we live in the East Coast?
We went to that gorgeous market yesterday. I can't stop thinking about it.
I stepped off the airplane at San Francisco yesterday. Clear blue skies.
70 degrees.
The sun just hits differently here. I don't know what it is, but I just love it. And we have Eric Greenspan, a repeat guest. He's so awesome.
Times.
He's so funny.
He's hilarious. And I mean, I literally, within the last 5 minutes, got to try the New School American cheese.
Yeah, you had a grilled cheese.
Delicious.
Amazing.
Takes American cheese to a whole new level. I cannot wait. I mean, we had him on before. You know, he kind of teased us with it. And now to actually try it, to have it in stock and hear kind of his story on how it came to be.
Yeah, so how will we ever eat Kraft singles or deli American cheese again? Because he's revolutionized a product that we all maybe took for granted.
100%.
And so Eric Greenspan with New School American Cheese is making this incredible artisanally made American cheese, and it is absolutely delicious. I can't wait to talk to him.
So how do you like your grilled cheese though, John?
My grilled cheese, I'm a pretty much traditional. I like really just do a little bit. Well, I do that little hack where you spread a little mayo on the outside of the bread.
Oh, you like mayo on the outside?
The outside of the bread mayo.
Interesting.
Caramelizes.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Ruth Reichel taught me that one. Dry frying pan.
Mm-hmm.
Mayo on the outside. I usually will do any kind of white bread.
Yep.
New School American cheese now. And then maybe finish it with a little bit of butter in the pan just because I like a little bit of that extra buttery flavor to it.
Yeah. Do you are you a grilled cheese tomato soup?
I never, no. I'm not opposed to it, but that's not I know that's a lot of comfort food for many people, but I've never really gotten into that.
Because I heard that you make an incredible tomato soup.
Have you heard that?
I have heard that. Jennifer Sussman, our amazing VP of Category Management, told me that you made her amazing tomato soup. Well,
there you have it. I didn't even know that, but I do make tomato soup. But I'm not a big tomato soup eater myself. I love to make gazpacho.
Gazpacho. Maybe that was what she said. It was gazpacho.
It might have, but I make tomato soup too. But
yeah.
Amen. Thank you, Jennifer. Well, this is going to be an awesome episode. Eric Greenspan, New School American Cheese, California. Andrea, how happy are you?
So happy. I love California. Let's do this, John.
All right.
This season of Ingredient Insiders is brought to you by Bazzini Nuts. Bazzini is the brand of choice among chefs in the finest hotels and restaurants. Their legacy of quality extends to gourmet retail stores, specialty boutiques, grocery distributors, and delis, ensuring you have access to their extensive range of consumer retail packages. It all started in 1886 when Italian immigrant Anthony L. Bazzini began selling nuts by the pound to bakers, street vendors, and individuals during the Great Depression. But Bazzini Nuts isn't just about peanuts. They offer a delightful array of nuts like cashews, almonds, pecans, pistachios, hazelnuts, and more, plus a tempting selection of dried fruit, including apricots, cranberries, figs, dates, prunes, and tomatoes. So whether at the ballpark, in the kitchen, or indulging in some well-deserved self-care, choose Bazzini Nuts. With a legacy spanning 137 years, they're here to serve your needs with the same consistency, reliability, and quality, making them an iconic name in the world of nuts and dried fruits. Bazzini Nuts, tradition, quality, and taste all in one. Taste the legacy today.
This episode is in partnership with the Chef's Warehouse and produced by Gotham Production Studios in New York City. Do you believe it? We're in Berkeley, California now.
We are.
We've got Greenie with us.
Go Bears.
Who's Greenie?
Eric Greenspan.
From?
LA.
Okay. That wasn't the answer I was looking for.
New School American Cheese.
New School
There it is.
American Cheese.
There it is.
Second time guest.
Yeah. Oh, and star of the Food Network.
Oh yeah, I just binged all 4 seasons of TOC.
I was at season 1.
I know, but like, why? I kept like waiting for you to come back.
They didn't invite you back? What happened?
They invited me back.
you
I had
back.
a company to grow.
Oh,
I was working on
That's
stuff.
fair.
You know what I mean?
So tell us about the company.
Wait, well, no, hold on. This is a little bit of a...
All right.
Slow down.
I'm
There's a
sorry, I
lot-
got excited.
There's a lot
Yeah,
more to me
let's slow
than
down.
the company.
Then the
Andrea.
company.
Yeah.
Fine. All right, John.
This is an interesting place for us to have this conversation because Eric,
Mm-hmm.
now you correct me if I'm wrong, born in New Jersey,
Born in New Jersey,
grew up in Southern California,
Southern California.
went to school at the University of California, Berkeley.
Go Bears.
Go Bears. Amazing school.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it nostalgic for you to be here?
Oh my God, it's the best. It's the best. I started cooking here. So I my first cooking job, and I actually like earlier today was there. I was walking up and down Telegraph Avenue. And like, so I started cooking at a place called the Cafe Med, like one of the first like espresso bars like in the country. It's where Ginsberg wrote The Howl. It was in it was in The Graduate. It's like this where all the protests were like organized at the Cafe Med. It was like this classic place. So I was walking by Telegraph today. I was like, oh, let's go check out the Med. It's a sizzling rice place now.
Oh, that's too bad.
Which was a little bit unfortunate.
What did
it still brought back memories.
What did you do there?
So I started as a dishwasher.
Yeah.
I actually got the call on the 4th of July when the USA was playing Brazil in the World Cup. Like literally like 20 minutes before kickoff, my roommate gets a call from this place and says, hey, we've got a job for you. And he's like, well, I already have a job, but my roommate doesn't. And he's like, dude, you got to go. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So I walked down to this Cafe Med. It was like right down the street from my apartment. And I started as a busboy, like / dishwasher. And I remember the head busboy, who must have been there for like 20 years, was like, hey man, slow down. And I was like bored, right? He's like, basically he was like, you're making me look bad. Cause I was like, and so the kitchen it was like a Sunday. The kitchen was getting hammered. It was like a little breakfast place, right? Yeah. And so I remember walking up to the owner and I was like, I'd really rather, can I work in there? Can I work in the kitchen? And he goes, do you know how to cook? And I pushed 1 minute start on the microwave. And I like looked the guy in the eyes while I pushed the button, start. And he's like, you're hired.
That's amazing.
And I was the prep cook, and I worked for a chef named Richard. His sous chef was a guy named Brownie. Sunday, breakfast joint.
Yeah.
Sunday, 9:30 in the morning, both walked. And the owner came up to me, he's like, can you do it? And I'm like, sure. And I just start flipping it. I must have broke 3 orders of eggs over easy for every order. And I just handled it. Somebody, like one of the busboys, came in and like worked the register for me and dropped my toast, and I cooked eggs. And by like the time the first rush was over, I was like, I'm doing this for the rest of my life.
That was it? You got the bug?
Oh my God. I'm someone who likes to accomplish things.
Yeah.
Right? And like that's how I got into this damn school in the first place, right? And the idea that like you've got 20 things to do and you've got 5 to 7 minutes to do it in. And then you get it all done.
Yeah.
And like egg cooking too, like there's no room for error. Like you either break the yolk or you do not break the yolk, right? And so it's like, you know, you get everything, like all this stuff done in like 5 minutes. You're like, oh my God, now I have all this other stuff to do. And like for a guy like me in that time, it was like I jonesed for it. It was amazing. And I was like, I just had to figure out how to tell my parents, like, so I know I'm at college and all, but
what did you think you were going to do?
Right, I'm not going to be a nuclear scientist anymore. I'm going to be a short order cook at the breakfast joint.
I didn't know. I knew I wanted to be in business.
Okay.
You know, I knew I wanted to run my own business and like be my own boss at some point. But I had no idea that I wanted to cook until I did that. So yeah, is it nostalgic to be at Berkeley? Yeah, 100%. Plus, it's like it's funny about college towns. Like all the same food that I ate, 25 years ago?
Yeah.
It's more than that. All the same restaurants are still here. Like you open up I'm like, why have I not opened up a restaurant in a college town? Because if you open up a restaurant in a college town and it hits like, and it's like remotely average and the right price point, you're gonna have like a 50-year run. Like mezzo salads. Boom, had a mezzo salad. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, I just had a salad. I got room for a hot dog. So I walked up to Top Dog Hot Dogs and you walk past IB Hoagies, like all the places that I used to eat at. So like, yeah, super nostalgic. It's great.
So that was your first. And then, so you went on to work at great restaurants around the country, around the world.
Yep. Yeah, I figured you can like I am not a fancy person. I wasn't raised to be a fancy person. I'm a salt of the earth kind of person. I'm a man of the people. But I always figured out like if I was gonna like, but I'm also someone who likes to achieve stuff. And I'm like, you know what? If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go learn from the best.
Yeah.
If I learn how to cook a perfect steak, I'm pretty sure I could apply it to a burger.
Right.
Right. But if I only know how to cook burgers, well, I'm gonna be, you know, I'm gonna be a college boy. You know what I mean? And so yeah, I worked with some of the better.
You went to Cordon Bleu?
I went to the Cordon Bleu in Paris, and then which wasn't, by the way, it was like not a good school. It was like housewife training. It was fun.
Okay.
Being in Paris was great.
Right.
Great. Learned a ton eating and
Outside of
living
school.
in Paris.
Outside of the class.
School was like, it was funny. The first day of school, so because I had no training at the breakfast place, I was shown how to make hollandaise once before Richard and Brownie decided to take
Jump
their
ship.
stand,
Yeah.
to fight the power. And so I was under the impression that you made hollandaise every time somebody ordered an Eggs Benedict. And I made hollandaise to order every single time somebody ordered an Eggs Benedict.
Yikes.
The first day of culinary school, and there's like a translator, and they're like, we're going to talk about the mother sauces. And I'm like, oh, cool. Like, the first thing we're talking about is hollandaise. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to learn hollandaise? Like, I already know hollandaise. Like, I'm going to ace school. I'm about to be the best. And they show you how to make it. I'm like, yeah, I already know how to do all this. You know what I mean? And then they're like, and then here's a bain marie, and here's how you hold it for up to 4 hours. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And I was so pissed that I remember first day of school, got up, walked out, and I was like, I'm taking the rest of the day off. So Cordon Bleu, Paris, and then worked for, Ducasse and Boulet and Rocco D'Espirito and Adriano Bouilly for a little bit.
And I think I met you when you were working for the Patina Group probably for the first time.
Yeah. I was
in
the
LA.
last executive chef of the original Patina.
Got
And then
it.
when they decided to sell like pre-theater salmons at the concert hall, I was like,
So you worked for some of the greatest chefs on the planet at those times, and
Yeah.
maybe forever. Then you became famous for you made
Pivot One. Here we
well,
go.
it's the grilled cheese book and grilled cheese. So where did that
Yeah,
come
what was the
from?
the impetus for that?
So I opened up my first restaurant, the Foundry on Melrose, in 2007, and we were in.
What was the food like there?
So the idea of it, and this was well before kind of people started doing this, but the idea was it was kind of like gastropubby. It was like approachable fine dining, right? Instead of steak, we were doing short ribs before like short ribs became expensive. You know, we would do sweetbreads, and we would do but like a good chicken breast, but like do it in a super unique way. But like the prices were approachable. We had a live jazz band in the front, like a cool patio in the back, and it was like this like edgy kind of fun. We weren't in the gallery part of Melrose.
And
we were
this is in
we were
Melrose. Okay.
Yeah, we were on Melrose, but like not the gallery part. We're like the t-shirt part of Melrose, right? And that's kind of where the whole cheese thing came from. Was I was like, you know what? Instead of doing a cheese plate, I wanted the place to be accessible. I always considered the Foundry as like a gateway drug to like fine dining, and I always viewed myself like in my purest form. How I cook food is about like taking like American food and like things that people know, and then going like taking it way up to like a higher level.
Yeah.
Right, because you had that classical training, but you also had your time.
So like it was again back to like the whole thing that it's like when I was at Patina, we were cooking the best food that city's ever seen. We had top, remember Zagat ratings?
Sure.
Woo! We had the highest, Zagat rating. We were, we got Wine Spectator magazine chose us as like the best meal he's ever had in Los Angeles. Like we were killing it. And then when I opened up my own restaurant, I'm like, I just don't want my restaurant to be only for rich people. You know what I mean? I'm an Orange County punk rocker at the end of the day.
I was going to talk like about like your
deadhead,
but like growing up, like was food part of your life?
Not at all.
Really?
Not at all. It was a job.
Wow.
I got into food because I got off, like I said, on the accomplishment. It was a job for me, and I dug the job. And then I was like, well, you might as well do this as well as you can. And then when you start working, then you move to Paris to go to culinary school, and you start working for, David Boulet, it turns out you learn what great food is, and that's kind of where the passion came.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you had some innate abilities when you were working even as a short order cook?
Yes.
You didn't make. You weren't cooking at home when you were a kid. You weren't.
Not much.
No.
I used to make.
your
You remember
grandparents-
Boboli bread shells? The
Yeah,
pizza shells.
Boboli, yeah.
I used to make breakfast pizzas. That was like the one thing that I would make. No, but like I've always been a really creative person. But again, even the creativity part, like that didn't come. Like I got blessed that I became an executive chef at a very young age. Like why Joachim Spichal made me the executive chef of Patina at 27 years old. Like when he called me into his office, I was like, oh, he probably needs to like recommendations of great New York chefs to bring over to be, and then like, you know, like they made me chef. Like I was blessed that it was at a time where I was like, I do not deserve this job. I shouldn't have this job. This is way ahead.
Did that like fuel you?
No, in the reverse. Like I see where you're going. Me, I was like, I am on borrowed time right now.
Okay.
I have no reason to be here. So I'm like, let's enjoy it while we can. Let's go for it. But I was lucky that I had like at a very young age was given an opportunity to be super creative on a super high stage. But to answer your question, like, yeah, I was definitively a kick-ass line cook. Like I could get down, and I knew that from the beginning. Like I knew that from like self-taught breakfast cook, and I would bang it out and crush the whole thing. And I was like, okay, there's nothing I can't do. Like being by the way, and this is to all of you young cooks out there, like you want to learn how to cook, be a short order breakfast cook.
What did I tell you today?
Go get a job at a diner?
No, my first job. I worked for my cousin's restaurant, but I said I wanted to go to culinary school. Uh-huh. My mom called my cousin who owns a restaurant right outside of Philly, and he was like, if she's going to go to culinary school, she's going to work breakfast in my restaurant. So for 2 years, so smart. Every Saturday and Sunday, pancakes, French toast girl right here.
Yo.
And that's all I did.
Yo, if you can flip eggs, you can do anything.
Right.
That was like the funniest thing. Like when we would go, when I went to go work for Ducasse, like, you know, Doug Saltis, sure. Right? We both had the same kind of attitude. Like we went into Ducasse and like we're bangers, and you're watching these guys flip out over like 30 covers, and you're just like, yo, guys, like this is not that hard. Like, you know, like it's not that hard to kick ass. At least, you know, like they'd like be freaky. Oh my God, we're doing 60 people. I remember Doug yelling across the kitchen. He was like, yo, Greenie, because everything was talking French. And I'm like, yes, sir. And he goes, these guys, they don't know who Pete Rose is, and they don't know how he played the game.
That's hilarious.
And I was like, that is like the funniest thing I ever heard, but it's kind of true. So like, I always knew that I could cook.
And what's interesting too is Doug came out of the Greek diners of Queens.
Well, that's why me and Doug that's why we always got along, because we're both like, you know, we came from like, we cut our
humble beginnings.
We cut our teeth in the action.
Right.
And we were just lucky enough that we were talented enough and smart enough, both motivated enough to work for the best people. We recognized those opportunities and were able to absorb it, partially because we were not in awe. Like neither of us were that kind of person who's like, I'm so in awe. We're like, okay, cool, I get it. I can do that. You know, and so we did it. So fast forward, Foundry on Melrose.
Yep.
I didn't want a cheese plate. I wanted to be more approachable, right? And so I said, let's take everything that's on a cheese plate and let's make a grilled cheese sandwich. So I took raisin walnut bread, and I took like a stinky Taleggio cheese, and I made a dried apricot and caper puree and oven-dried tomatoes and arugula, and that became our grilled cheese sandwich, because like people walking in off the street in the bar were not going to order a cheese plate, but they'd be like, oh, I know what a grilled cheese is.
Right.
They get that grilled cheese, boom, I got you. Now you're going to start, now you're going to play your way through the menu,
right? And
we're going to get you. Gateway drug, right? And then the clincher was, I was one of those guys who's like, if I'm going to serve short ribs, it was like, let's cut it into perfect squares. And so it was like all this like short rib scrap lying around. And my sous chef, and we were selling the hell out of short ribs. My sous chef was like, dude, you can't just throw this away, chef. You know, I'm like, put on the grilled cheese. And so people would add it on I think it was like $2,
right? To
add like 5 out. No wonder I was broke. You know what I mean? Like, but man, was that a sandwich. And so like I became, through that, yeah, next thing you know, it's on the best thing I ever ate. Next thing you know, it's like Alton Brown did like top 10 comfort foods in America. That grilled cheese was like number 3 or something like that. I was watching it with my mom and my fiance, who's now my wife, and like we didn't realize it was a countdown. And like I'm watching the show, and they're like kibitzing on the couch, like Jewish women will do. And I'm like, I realized like at number 7, I'm like, oh my God, this is a countdown.
That's pretty cool.
So I'm like watching the show, and like they're like, when's yours gonna be on? I'm like, ah, like. Hopefully not for a while, you know. And it was like number 3. So like the sandwich took off, and I became the grilled cheese guy. We opened up a grilled cheese restaurant. We wrote a grilled cheese book. Like,
do you like grilled cheeses, Andrea?
I mean, is that a question, John?
Yeah, that's a real question.
I love grilled cheeses.
Anybody who doesn't?
Like, I'm not a monster.
I'm curious to know what is your perfect grilled cheese.
Okay, so I'm like kind of a minimalist when it comes to grilled cheese. So,
tell me the bread, tell me the cheese, tell me the fat, tell me the whole thing.
Okay, so I think like white bread for me is like I want.
Can you be more specific?
Like it could be like a sourdough
it's
or
not white bread.
What's that?
Sourdough bread is not white bread.
But okay, fine.
Are we
Stick
talking
with it.
Wonder
Don't
bread?
let him bully you, by the way. If
Pullman?
you want to
I
say
know.
white bread, you say white bread.
Yeah, say white bread.
Fine.
I'm
Okay.
just looking
Game.
for.
I grew up on Arnold white bread.
Arnold, I like
Yes.
Arnold
All right.
white bread.
So it's like country white or whatever they call it.
Absolutely.
So I want an Arnold country white bread,
Yes.
butter both sides.
Yes,
The
inside
inside
out.
and the out?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
okay.
never done that.
Yes.
You've never. What do you mean you've never?
Really?
Done
I put the butter on the out. I put the butter on
that?
the
You've never
sides
done
of
butter on the inside of a grilled cheese sandwich?
You have to.
Why? You put the cheese on there.
Because it just kind of
'Cause
helps
it-
the cheese
yes.
melt. And
Oh, it's so good.
Okay, let me explain to you
just
guys
gets
a
it
little
extra-
bit something about science.
Yeah.
First of all, I'm not against butter.
Well, look,
ever.
I love that we're
Like,
telling
Yeah,
the grilled
we're
cheese.
telling him
you
how-
guys can put
wait.
butter anywhere you want, but the butter inside the bread definitively does not help the cheese melt. You know what helps the cheese melt?
Heat. Yeah, I know.
exactly.
But-
But then you have like the melty butter and the
I'm okay
melty
with it.
cheese.
I'm okay with
Haven't
it.
you ever
I'm just
heard
like,
of butter
this
makes
is the-
things better?
To be clear, this is the first food hedonistic thing that I've heard about that I am not teaching somebody, that somebody is teaching me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like, I'm into it.
Okay.
butter
So
both
I like
sides.
butter on both sides of the bread.
Yep.
Both sides of each piece of bread is what
Correct.
you're saying. Okay.
You
It's a
like
lot of butter.
a lot of butter.
I love that so much.
You have the
Yeah,
on the
this
one
is-
side.
yeah.
Then you have
What's the cheese?
American.
Yeah,
For me, it's
my
American.
girl.
What kind of American? Oh, well,
and
no,
not
it's
just
not-
for a
yeah.
segue. Not just a
Not
segue.
for a segue.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's an amazing American cheese.
There is.
Look
There,
at-
there hasn't been.
There has not been.
Look at the segue.
Do you like
It
it?
was so good. It was like natural.
Yeah.
Right? It's new school American cheese.
Well, that's why we're here today.
Not old school.
no,
No.
new school. Can
Yeah.
you like so this cheese is like epic.
Eric started a cheese company.
Yeah.
Right.
Who
Tell
had
us
his
about
love
Okay.
of grilled
Okay,
cheese.
so-
it. Tell
First of
tell
all,
us.
a little bit. I'm going to give you a little bit of back history. What's funny?
Like
is
how
that-
did you have this idea?
So when we talk about like what's the perfect grilled cheese, I wrote a cookbook called The Great Grilled Cheese
Mm-hmm.
Book, and if you look at that book, the classic that you mentioned is
Yeah,
in it, which
okay.
by the way is my favorite grilled cheese
Yeah.
too. But like all of the grilled cheeses in there are like super complicated,
But,
and
like,
it's
do you
just
like
kind of
things-
funny that like I've like through the years have kind of stripped things down a little bit.
But do you like things on your grilled cheese?
I do.
You do.
I like
Do you?
active grilled cheeses.
I'm more of a purist.
Yeah.
Um,
Like bacon, caramelized onions.
I like melts.
I'm not opposed to it. You know what I like on my grilled cheese?
what?
cheese.
Like pickle slices.
Oh yeah, I like
Really?
the vinegars. I like
Yeah.
the vinegars as much. So like the Great Grilled Cheese Book separated. The chapters were by cheese, okay, and they were all complicated sandwiches. But I wanted to like lean in on it. I was like, let's make the first one American cheese, and let's give a recipe for American cheese.
Yeah.
And then like the recipe for American cheese was like take garbage A and garbage B and garbage C, and I was like, I can't put that in a cookbook. Like people don't have these ingredients.
Right.
I came up with a less garbagey product that actually is definitively not what is now new school, but it was closer to it, just so that I could like have it in the cookbook. And in doing so, it made me think, right, that you're like, especially these days, right, like take like your high end burger, like there's these people who have like smash burger places, right, but like my grind is
Chuck brisket short rib.
and
Yeah.
I pan bake my own brioche and I whisk my mayo, but like but then what's the cheese? Like it should be American cheese, right?
Shouldn't
but
be an afterthought.
but there's just no way to complete the circle of quality. And that was always a frustration of mine, like as I cooked food. So like I closed all of my restaurants in like 2016, 2017. I was like, I just don't want to do this. Like I don't like running 8 different restaurant concepts all over the city of Los Angeles. I just had my second kid. I was like, I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to get into like the future of food, which is when I started doing ghost kitchens, which we do not need to talk about. Super dystopian, turns out, like Blade Runner shit. And I was like, and I'm gonna get in a consumer goods, and my partner Alan, who you both know, sat down
Love
with
you,
Alan.
Alan.
Alan has been in the CPG space for a long time, and I was like, I got these ideas, and like I started running off these ideas. Like I was like, and I'll spout them out, but if anybody out there steals any of these ideas, I'm gonna know it. I'm gonna check your browsers because I might come back to them. I was like, one of them was like adapt genetic, like spoonable, like savory bread puddings, like carrot cake and zucchini bread and carrot bread and banana bread, but like that you eat out of a jar. It's kind of yummy. And Alan's like, nope, not that. And I was like, vegetable based jellies. And Alan's like, nope, not that. And I'm like, mac and cheese, but like fancy pasta versions. And he's like, not that. And I was like, small batch artisanal premium American cheese. And he's like, what did you say? And I'm like, small batch artisanal American cheese. He's like, I'm quitting my job.
Yeah.
And we're doing this. And this was like 6 years ago. Like we when we did the Allen brother, we did the burger episode of this, we were still talking about it. That was like 3 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was a significant process. But like for me, it's always made sense that it's like I've always wanted a product like that. And if I'm going to put my name on a product, like, you know, and it's not like it's like I'm not Guy Fieri, you know what I mean? So it's not like Guy Fieri's barbecue sauce, you know, like Eric Greenspan's American cheese, like, you know, like that's not why we're doing it, right? Like, but it makes sense. It's like if I'm going to put my name on something, it should be something that people would like look to me for and be like, oh, that makes sense. Like if Eric Greenspan is making that American cheese, it's probably pretty good, and they'd be right.
What is the history of American cheese? I mean, it's so ubiquitous for any of us who grew up in the States to go to a the supermarket deli counter or wherever it is, or go to a sandwich shop and or get a burger and it's American cheese.
Yeah, my mom used to get a pound of Land O'Lakes every week.
You were raised right.
You can go to England and buy cheddar cheese. You can go obviously to France or anywhere around the world now and buy brie or camembert. Mm-hmm. But American cheese is, unless I'm wrong, it's distinctly American. I mean, can you go to Europe and buy American cheese?
It's called like burger cheese. And they only have it because of American burger culture coming to Europe.
Right. So it's a cow's milk cheese. Let's start with the basics.
So, okay, here's how it starts.
Is it actually a cheese?
Ish.
Like, can they call it a cheese?
Sometimes.
Right.
Oftentimes, no.
Right.
Oftentimes, it's a cheese product. Mm-hmm. We'll get there. American cheese started about 100 years ago, Robert Kraft. And it was originally like kind of a luxury item. It was originally meant to be, because it's called, it's pasteurized processed cheese. Mm-hmm. And basically what you would do is you would take cheddar cheese and you would add a little bit of fat and a little bit of steam to melt it down and some sodium citrate to keep that fat emulsified in it. And you would, because like, here's what happens. You heat the cheese up. When you melt the cheese, the water evaporates, right? So it breaks. That's why cheddar cheese oils off. Mm-hmm. When you melt cheddar cheese, as much as like people who are like, instead of American cheese, I'm gonna use cheddar cheese, suckers, because like then you just get this oily, clumpy mess. It's gross. I think so, at least.
I don't like hot cheddar cheese.
Cheddar?
Exactly.
I don't like it on a burger. I don't like it on a grilled cheese.
So it oils off, right? So
I just don't like it.
Even in mac and cheese, it gets grainy.
Yes. So when you heat it up, it oils off. So what they did is they added a little bit of fat and a little bit of liquid, right, to bring that emulsion back. Mm-hmm. And then sodium citrate would keep the emulsion together. It's an emulsifying salt, right? And then when it cooled down, it would hold its form. And now it's pasteurized. Mm-hmm. And so now it'll last longer. So you didn't have to worry as much about the refrigeration and shipping it over the country and how long it took to get from Wisconsin to California or to the East Coast or wherever it was being made. And it was frankly a luxury item because it's a way to make it sometimes shelf stable, right? And then what happened was like, for like 100 years, it just did this. They're like, wait a minute. Like, if we can do that, do we really need to add like butter, or can we just add like
hydrogenated oil?
And like, do we really need to add cheese, or can we just add kind of like whey proteins and enzymes for the flavors? And like, if we add sorbic acid to it, or phosphates, maybe it'll last even longer. And like, so it just like got reduced to its lowest common denominator over and over and over and over and over again. And all we've done at New School is go like, so like if Kraft started here and did this, we just did that. Mm-hmm. So like instead of just like obviously not like whey protein, like Frankenstein mixtures of cheese, we did aged cheddar. Not all aged cheddar, it's barrel cheddar and aged cheddar. Mm-hmm. So that it's like flavor forward. It has a sharpness to it, but it's not like a sharp cheese, right? There's obviously water in it from the steam when you melt it down, but we added real cream. Right? We added real butter. We added sodium citrate. We added a little bit less sodium citrate than what most people add so that it doesn't hold the emulsion too well. Like for us, it's like we want it to like, I want a cheese hug. Like I want it to melt like
super melty.
Super melty.
Yeah.
So we took some sodium citrate out, and in doing so, we dropped the sodium levels of the cheese. And so we're like, ooh, do we want a low sodium cheese? No. So we added salt, like regular salt. So we have more regular salt in our cheese than most people do because we have less sodium citrate. So you can actually taste the notes of that sharpness for the aged cheddar. And we just made a flavor-forward, premium-based, limited ingredient, clean label, highly natural American cheese. And you can taste it. And when you taste it, it tastes clean. When you taste it, it tastes natural, but it melts like no other. and it's got flavor to it. And we're just kind of finally completing that circle for chefs. Like, look, if you ask a chef or a foodie, right, most people will be like, what do you love in a burger? What do you love in a mac and cheese? What do you love in a grilled cheese? You want American cheese. How many Chef's Warehouse customers do you have right now who the chef is probably like, I sure would love to put American cheese in this burger, but I'm charging $19 for it or $22 for it because I've got a fancy restaurant and I use all of the Chef's Warehouse fancy olive oils and all the stuff that you guys have because you guys got the best chefs in the country buy from you, right? And they're like, I cannot justify, right, using American cheese even though I want to. Like, chefs love American cheese.
Right.
We give you the one that you can be proud of, one to brag about, and one that also like is definitively the best. So you don't need to sacrifice.
And so where's the cheese made?
I make it in my garage.
Oh, yeah?
No, Wisconsin. We did not launch this to be like, hey, we're just going to do this in California. Like, the goal is to be all over the country. So you got to make it in the center of the country just to, and like, it's not cheap. It's not expensive, but compared to like commodified American cheese, it's not cheap. And so like logistically, we didn't know that such a phenomenal company like Chef's Warehouse was going to help us out and pick it up and like, be able to, do the logistical things. So we were like, it has to be in the middle of the country so we can afford to send it to people.
I mean, it's right up our alley, John.
It's such a genius idea. It's in its simplicity. But it's, as you were making the point earlier, like if you're going out, you're a chef, you're buying the premium Allen Brothers CBS burger blend. You're, making your own brioche buns. You're doing all of these things, and then you're slapping
tomatoes.
Exactly, right. And then you're slapping on a piece of processed.
You're either slapping on commodified processed cheese, or you're breaking your oily greased off cheddar.
Yeah. And then we talked about grilled cheese a few minutes ago, but like when it comes to burgers, the only cheese I'm putting on a burger is American.
Oh, absolutely.
I cringe. Hey, listen, I love blue cheese, but not on my burger.
Yeah.
I love Swiss cheese, but not on my burger.
No.
The cheese on my burger
American
is only American.
What's funny is that like what we're finding, like, look, I've had burgers with Gruyere on it that are good. I've had burgers with aged cheddar that are good. But what we're hearing from is like the thanks that we get from the chefs who are like, like, thanks. Because like I was forced, like, they still make a great product because they're chefs. And so like, okay, I can't use American cheese, so what am I going to do?
Right.
I'm probably going to fry an egg and put it on it. Or I'll use Gruyere, but I'll have like a thick cut bacon, or I'll make an onion marmalade. I can finally put American cheese on my burger and still sell it to my fancy pants customers and like, be true to my brand and be true to what I love.
Okay. So we're selling it at Chef's Warehouse.
You are. Everywhere, I think. Not almost everywhere?
Almost everywhere. Comes in a 5-pounder.
If it's not selling in your area, where's the camera? If it's not selling in your area,
let me know.
No, just start yelling at your Chef's Warehouse. Like, Ohio, that's how Ohio got it.
Right.
Rocco from Fahrenheit and a couple other people were like, no. Like, you don't get it. And mind you, Cleveland's a little bit of a different world. Yeah. So when Cleveland wants something, Cleveland gets it, right? But like, Rocco was like, yo, like, where's I want New School. And like, so like, don't get rough, be respectful, but feel free to push and we'll get it to you.
But I think like reps should be going out, like what you said really is like resonating with me with like this oily cheddar, like going out and saying to the chef, like, now you can do this, like giving them permission to say like, you can put this on your burger and it's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like we have to change.
You can be you.
Right.
It's okay to be you.
Wow, it's okay to be yourself.
It's okay to be you.
I love that.
Thank you, New School.
Be yourself, New School American.
At Yankee Stadium, they were putting New School American cheese
early adapters
onto the Aaron Judge number 99 burger. Is that what it was called?
So I got hit up on Instagram by the chef Matt Gibson from Yankee Stadium before, like, literally it was before we were even with Chef's Warehouse. In fact, I think that's what kind of got the ball rolling with you guys because they're one of your clients. And like, Matt's like, I'm doing I see that you're selling, that you have this cheese. He's like, we're doing a limited burger, 99 of them a game, double Wagyu smashed patties, and I need to put slices of New School on it. And I'm like, I'm a diehard Yankee fan. And I'm like, no problem. He's like, who do you sell through there? I'm like, nobody. I'm like, but I'm going to figure it out. We had already been in talks. So like, it was like close. And like, it really took that. I was like, Yankees want it, guys. Like, can we move this along? I remember We missed the deadline by a week.
Right.
So Yankees press day, I loaded up 2 suitcases with New School and flew. It was like the movie Blow. I was like, right? And I picked up my suitcases from the baggage check and walked them over to. I took a red eye, went straight to Yankee Stadium, like boom, put them on the table, like unzipped it, opened it up, and it was like Pulp Fiction, where like they open up the suitcase and it like glows gold. It was like opened it up and it was like blocks of American cheese, and I was like, that should get you through. And yeah.
I mean, I would expect nothing less. This is now you're in the big leagues.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
the house that Ruth built.
Yeah.
Do you cook at home?
Yes.
Okay. So if I were to open your pantry, fridge, whichever, what are the 5 ingredients that you must have in there that I will find at all times? And it can't be oil and salt. We've already know that.
Sure.
I'm starting that. That's a new thing for this season.
What are the 5 ingredients that I use the most, or like what do I need to have in there? I need
What's always in there?
What's all? Yeah.
good
What are your
olive-
staples?
Good olive oil.
Okay.
She just told you can't say.
It's okay.
Oh, I can't say it. Right.
Yeah, you can't
No,
say
I'll
that.
start over.
I think you gotta let him say
Okay.
it.
Everyone says it.
You just can't count
Maple
it towards
syrup.
the total.
Okay, fine.
Maple syrup.
Okay.
I like that.
I
I
like
use maple
that.
syrup a lot. Mirin.
Mm-hmm.
I deglaze a lot of things with mirin. On that same vein, yuzu koju.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's like a kind of a fun thing to kind of like to brighten it up. We're talking pantry only.
It could be fridge.
Oh, in the fridge too.
Mm-hmm.
What's always in there?
Butter.
Like.
Oh wait! I still can't say fat, but I didn't say
you can
oil.
say
I
butter.
can say butter. I can say butter.
You can say butter.
There's no rules here. Why do you have?
And
I don't think
Frank,
there should be
and to be
rules.
honest with you,
Because they always use olive oil and salt, and then
that's two
that's two
you're
ingredients,
using
and then
two.
like
Yeah, but then you can make them do more.
I want it to be exciting. Whatever
I'll tell
Charlie
you-
Palmer.
But I will tell you, really good black pepper, super important to me.
What is really good black pepper?
Like telecherry pepper, like a really good.
Can you go to the
fragrant black
supermarket
pepper.
and buy your pepper?
I've had a huge stash from the last restaurant I closed that I still haven't worked my way through because I closed it when my second born was born, but and they don't eat like I don't like. My wife's always like and like her friends are always like, oh, you must be so blessed to have a chef husband. And like I cook food once, and like my kids are 6 and 9. Like when they're 13 and 15, are they gonna know how to sear fucking foie gras? 100%. But like right now, they eat chicken tenders and like steamed broccoli. And like if I put black pepper on it, it's like, what's that spice on there? You know what I mean? And so like I
don't
haven't
like
even worked
this.
my way through it. But like
Right.
you get it from but like I love good crack,
Good quality. Yeah.
quality black pepper. Was that 5?
That's 5.
Is that 5?
You need more?
Do you want
American
more, Andrea?
cheese.
I feel like going more.
How many pounds of American cheese is in
my
your fridge
fridge?
right now?
I mean, he's in the cheese business.
I know. I just like I'm like
yeah,
picturing
like
you.
to be fair, like not to scare you, like this isn't like how much we eat. But I've got 27.
I'm not. This isn't judgment.
I've got 27 pounds of
20
American cheese in my fridge.
That's
How
it.
many pounds you got in yours?
And like I've also got like the ends from when I slice it, like the little nubbins.
Yeah.
I've got some pre-sliced stuff. I've got a couple of bricks. My wife hates me. She's like, we open up the fridge and she's like, are you serious right now? And I'm like, babe, it's for the bar mitzvah.
That's awesome.
New school American cheese.
3 years later.
I think this is one of the greatest products that we've
I'm-
launched in the last
Thank
several
you.
years.
Thank
like,
you.
100%.
That means a lot.
like I said earlier, like brilliant in its simplicity, but a product that
I feel like
everybody needs to be using.
I can't
if you're
believe it
using
hasn't
American
been
cheese.
done yet, and I'm so glad that you did it.
Thank you.
Yeah. All
Thank you.
Well, we love new school American cheese.
We do. We love you.
Appreciate
Greenie.
you guys.
And we look
Thank you
forward
so much
to
for the
this great
support.
future with
course.
it.
And let's go. This is great.
Thanks again.
What are we going to talk about next time?
For more than 30 years, Tribeca Oven has been committed to providing you with great tasting, handcrafted, frozen, par-baked artisan bread. Their passion is delivering exceptional flavor, quality, and versatility in every loaf, roll, and baguette, from elevated table bread to upgraded burger options. With Tribeca Oven, you will enjoy an elevated bread experience that will keep you and your customers returning for more. Don't miss the opportunity to elevate your menu with Tribeca Oven Artisan Bread. Try the latest additions to the baguette line, the Harvest Grain Baguette. Featuring a hint of sweetness, topped with a special blend of cracked wheat, flax, oats, rye, and sunflower seeds, which is also incorporated into the dough, this baguette will bring a uniqueness to your table bread offering or sandwich menu that will keep your guests' taste buds satisfied. One taste is all the proof you'll need. Contact your sales rep today to request your samples.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Ingredient Insiders. Follow us on Instagram at Ingredient Insiders. You can find the products we discussed on today's episode at chefswarehouse.com or at your favorite specialty retailer.